It's episode 70 of the Hodgepodge podcast. I'm your host, Doug.
And I'm Dirty A. As the name suggests, we're going to talk about a hodgepodge of topics from movies, music, TV, and other pop culture events.
And on this episode, we'll be discussing the films What We Do in the Shadows, Insurgent, and The Gunman. You can reach us at the Hodgepodge Podcast at gmail.com or over on our website, thehodgepodgepodcast.com, or look us up on iTunes and YouTube and subscribe. And before we get started...
We've already gotten started.
Well, that's just the introduction. It's not really getting started, per se. That's the prologue. Matt King says you can skip prologues.
What does he know?
I know. What does he know? You really can't. In my book, you can't. You got to read it. You got to know who these people are.
Got another prologue.
Anyway, before we get into the movies that we were here to discuss today, a couple of things. Some house cleaning, I guess. We took a week off. We recorded the last episode early, so we kind of took a week off.
So there was nothing...
There was nothing coming out really that we wanted to see,
yeah.
But also we went to Comic-Con. We'll get to that in a second. But since then, we've seen the final two episodes of Empire, and which we talked about in the last episode, and it was kind of a disappointment.
Yeah, the Empire as a whole, great.
Good.
But, yeah, this two-part finale was really a letdown. It misfired a lot.
It felt like it was like 5 episodes crammed together, and then somebody was just fast-forwarding through it the whole time. I mean, it was just...
Yeah, they were trying to clean up too much.
Yeah, there was like no coherence to the story, and like people just like kind of showed up, hey, it's like,
Yeah.
it didn't make any sense at all.
Which, take it with a grain of salt, because it is a soap opera type.
True.
So
But even
it's pretty formulaic.
Yeah.
In that aspect, that you kind of take some of this with at face value.
But even with this, it was
too just too easy. And for a show that's been building so much and been very quality, this finale was. These were absolutely the worst 2 episodes of the entire season.
Basically, all the problems we kind of discussed in the last episode kind of all came back to haunt them.
Come to a head
here,
yeah.
On these 2 episodes. I've been posting like comments on like message boards and stuff like that, Collider and stuff like that, and saying, if they, now that they have a second season, because I think part of the reason was also because they were apparently they were filming episode 10 when the series premiered. So like there was it's not like Gotham where like they started in the fall and then they said, oh, we want to do some more episodes, and they're like, oh, okay, and so they were able to add it on. Right. Empire was basically done.
They were almost wrapped.
Right, when it premiered.
The first one dropped. Yeah.
So, they couldn't really change anything. But also, I was like, well, now that they have a second season, hopefully they'll add some more episodes and they can actually like kind of let it breathe. But then I read somewhere that Lee Daniels has said that he wants it to only be 12 episodes a season. I'm like, well, then you need to cut out some of the subplots, buddy.
Right, which is fine, actually.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with shorter seasons of shows. I think they should do that. I think a lot of shows should probably need to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to really be careful with your plot points when you do that.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you just can't have that many subplots.
Yeah. We won't go into too much detail about it because we don't have a ton of time. We don't want this episode to be...
Actually, we have as much time as we want.
True, but we don't want the episode to be like 2 hours. So,
there's no need to detail it out, especially if you haven't seen it yet, because we probably would have to get into some spoilers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, it just kind of a letdown finale to what has been a pretty stellar show so far.
Yeah. So, like I also mentioned, we went to Raleigh Wizard World Comic-Con.
Yeah, we did.
Wizard World, for those of you who don't know, I do because I'm a comic book geek. Wizard magazine used to be in the 90s and early 2000s was a comic book magazine. It started out as just a price guide, like a zine price guide, and then it became a magazine about comic books. And then slowly but surely more comic book movies are being made and all that stuff filtered into the magazine. Now, the magazine doesn't exist anymore. I want to say they did the last issue in 2011.
Okay.
Maybe, I think. It might have been earlier than that, but I can't remember. But along the way, they bought the Chicago Comic-Con, and they turned it into Wizard World Chicago. And then now what they do is it's all cons.
This is a national event. They have it in many cities throughout the year.
And this was the first time they brought it to Raleigh.
Yeah.
And so Dirty A and I went. A couple of friends came with us. I was only going to go one day, the Saturday. Then I saw they finally released the schedule late in the game, and I was like, oh, well, I want to see some of this stuff on Friday. Oh, okay, I'll buy a Friday pass. And then on Saturday, after I'd seen all my panels and it was on the floor, like, okay, here we go. Gonna do the show floor and then leave, and it'll be good to go. I'll have all day tomorrow. The show floor is closing in 30 minutes. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So then I ended up buying
on Saturday.
I ended up buying
for what we didn't even know why.
Because they had to do the parade of nerds, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they, so I ended up buying a Sunday pass too. So I ended up overpaying for all my tickets.
Sucker, spending all that money. Oh wait.
So if you ever do go to a con, folks, buy the 3-day pass because you're probably gonna need at least 2 days of it.
Yeah, it's like $40 for one day or $75 for all three. So
right.
It's almost a no-brainer if you're interested at all in that.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out to me before, it has become way less about comics.
Oh yeah.
And just geek culture. It's just general geek culture and TV and movie stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the main reason I went was they brought in the heavy guns. They brought in the big headliner David Tennant this year. First time ever at a con.
Who?
Yeah. Whatever. And this was the first con that they opened in Raleigh, and this was Tennant's first con
in the U.S. Right?
Period in the U.S.
Right.
And David Tennant, if you don't know, the 10th Doctor of Doctor Who, love him. And now he's doing Broadchurch and / Grace Point. Broadchurch being...
Well, Grace Point's dead.
Right.
That's not going to happen anymore.
But Broadchurch being the BBC version, and Grace Point was the season that they did here in the States.
He is not, however, on Secrets and Lies, which is the ABC ripoff of Broadchurch.
Yeah, Broadchurch is fantastic. I urge you to check that out. But he is known widely as the 10th Doctor from Doctor Who, which I just am in love with.
He was also in Harry Potter 4. He was...
Yeah, whatever. Doctor.
Yeah. It only paid...
But he will soon be known as the Purple Man on a.k.a. Jessica Jones, which is coming to Netflix. Have they actually announced the schedule for you?
They haven't. They said... I think it'll probably end up being next year, I think, but they said it could come on late 2015.
Yeah, so he's going to play one of the main antagonists on that show, which should be a really good show.
Hope so. The comic's good.
Yeah.
The comic is Alias, so that's why they call it AKA Jessica Jones.
But yeah, so that was my main reason for going, and I geeked out and got my picture taken with him and autographed with him.
Good picture.
It was a good picture. And, then we just spent 3 days doing panels.
Yeah.
And, saw William Shatner.
Yeah, we did see William Shatner.
Little Shatner panel with Denny Crane!
Yeah, we saw Shatner. It's funny because I was at Target today, and they had the tabloid there, and they said they had a picture of him, and he looks huge on the picture. They're like, William Shatner, 300 pounds. Doctor says diet or die. I'm like, you don't look that big.
We just saw him
last week.
He's okay.
He look that big.
He's okay. So yeah, we saw a panel with him where he threatened to shoot a kid. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. This baby was crying, and he literally said
he just broke his anecdote mid-anecdote.
Somebody gonna shoot that kid? I was like, damn, oh, damn Shatner.
So that's William Shatner for you.
What else happened there? I mean,
Joe Hodgson from Mystery Science Theater 3000 was there.
Yeah, apparently he was trying to convert our friend.
converting friends to some form of religion. Apparently, I don't know.
That's probably why he doesn't hang out with the Riff Tracks guys anymore.
I got Bo Duke's autograph.
You did, and he mussed your hair.
Yeah, that was the weirdest shit ever. I'm not gonna lie, folks. Let me tell you what happened here. Next week I will be a 36-year-old man, and I went up to meet John Schneider, and I honestly, it's scrambled in my brain now. I don't remember if it was immediately preceding or following the handshake, but he ruffled my hair, like like you would a 6-year-old boy who's meeting someone like a baseball player, like, hey, sport, and then he just ruffled, like, feathered my hair. I was just like, that is fucking weird. I didn't know whether to be like, ha-ha, or, ooh.
Hey, little shaver. Little shaver, how you doing?
But I mean, it was cool to meet him. But that I looked at my friend Jen while he's standing right there. I'm like, well, that's never happened before, and will never happen again. Bo Duke just ruffled my hair.
You guys met Elvira.
Yes, Cassandra Peterson. She was awesome. We met her, and then we also went to the panel with her. She was great. She was delightful, and she's still actually very attractive for her age.
How old is she now?
I think, gosh, I have to look it up, but she's pushing 60 for sure. But unfortunately, she was not Elvira'd out. She was at the con as her Cassandra Peterson. She was not in her Elvira costume, which was a letdown, but still pretty cool to meet her.
James Marsters was there from Buffy, and he looks completely different. He has brown hair.
No blonde hair.
Yeah, so he didn't bleach his hair. He doesn't bleach his hair anymore, I guess. So he looked completely different. Yeah. I didn't really go to see the celebrities. I mean, I went to the Shatner panel, but I went mainly to see like a lot of the comic book people that were there. They had Peter David was there. He was a writer on X Factor and Incredible Hulk for a long time. Danny Fingeroth was a former writer and editor at Marvel. He worked on Spider-Man. That guy's hilarious, and he moderated a lot of the panels. So he works with Wizard World as well. That guy's so funny. Who else was there? Well, we'll get to him in a minute.
Got a little anecdote for you.
JJ Siderman.
Oh, right.
Cedermeyer
from SNL.
Yeah, from TV Funhouse. He was like the animator for TV Funhouse. You know, but it was funny.
Harvey Birdman.
It was funny, and Harvey. Yeah, it was funny because like we went to some of these panels, and it seemed like all the people, the panelists, were like just like a little off. Like it was just like one off. Like you go to see that guy who helped animate the TV Funhouse stuff, but you probably really want to see a panel with Robert Smigel, who wrote the stuff.
He's the quote unquote name that
right.
One would know behind that.
I also saw, for comic book fans out there, I saw a panel with Rob Liefeld, who created Cable and cool. Deadpool. He's become somewhat of a pariah in the comic book. I mean, he still gets work, but he's kind of like a pariah because of the whole Heroes Reborn thing, and he drew Captain America with boobs, basically. But he was a nice guy. He had a ton of energy, a lot of fun. His panel was a lot of fun. He mainly talked about Deadpool and like the movie that's coming up and stuff like that. Of course, yeah, because that's his big claim to fame now. Now that Deadpool's so popular. Yeah, it's also
ironic considering the anecdote of how easy it is for him to draw Deadpool.
Yeah. The whole reason why he said he made up Deadpool was because Todd McFarlane, who used to draw Spider-Man and created Spawn, when Rob Liefeld was drawing X-Force, McFarlane said to him, "I feel so bad for you because you got to draw these eyes and noses,
detailed
and
characters."
He goes, "Spider-Man." He goes, "I draw a circle and then I go have dinner with my wife." So that was kind of part of the reason why Liefeld created Deadpool, so he could do a quick guide. I'm like, really? The origins of your favorite characters.
Right.
Take that, Matt King.
It was a dare.
It was a dare. It's like Deadpool was made on a dare. But it was a lot of fun.
It really was.
We bought some art there, and we'll be featuring at least one of them on the podcast coming up. I forget the guy's name, but we'll credit him obviously when we put it up there. The girl who was running his booth was really freaking hot, and she asked me. We mentioned the podcast.
Yeah,
we mentioned the podcast, and she was like, "Oh, do you have a card?" And I'm like, "No." So we'll be getting that up and running soon, so we can start promoting this thing to people that we don't meet normally.
I prefer bone.
Right. I bought an awesome Wolverine hat, which is like basically it's like a ski mask, but it covers your face like his mask and has the horns on it. It's cool. Dirty A spent a lot of money.
So outside of the VIP pass I bought for David Tennant, I also went a little nuts on everything. But I was geeking out, what can I say? And then it didn't even occur to me that he was going to be there. But I super geeked out when Tom Cook was there and I saw his booth. And if you don't know, he is the animator. He draws a lot of the stuff for anyone my age, all the cartoons you used to watch as a kid, your Masters of the Universe or your Thundar.
Yeah, he worked on Hanna-Barbera
Super
stuff.
Friends, all that Hanna-Barbera stuff.
But let's be clear, on the Super Friends stuff, those designs were basically Alex Toth.
Yeah, right. He didn't create that.
Right.
So,
but he was a big part of Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, and so I geeked out big time when I met him, and I bought a few prints from him, and then I realized that he would actually draw something for you, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm having that done. So I commissioned him to draw a picture for me of Beastman and Trapjaw holding hands because they're besties, as we all know. And I essentially paid him up front. I still haven't heard back from him after sending him an email a week ago. So I'm honestly at this point not sure if I've been swindled by Tom Cook or not.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, but it's terrible.
So, and I have no receipt. I have no right of purchase other than him saying, send me an email. And that's the other thing. When he said he wasn't going to have time to do it come Sunday, I commissioned it on Saturday. Come Sunday, he said, I haven't had time to do it yet. We'll have to touch base. I was like, yeah. And then I just stood there waiting for him like, what method of communique would you like to use to touch base? So you need to help me help you here. Help me because I paid you money.
He gave you his junk mail email address.
And then he didn't know. He gave me his website, which on his website is an email address for questions and all that stuff.
Man.
So, I don't know if it's lost in a junk mail folder or what, but it's been literally tomorrow will have been a week since I sent the email. I haven't heard from him. I'm trying not to think ill. Trying not to think ill of the man.
Yeah. Well, I told you what you should have asked him to draw.
I mean, he was really odd about the request. Okay, first of all, his sign said $50. I'll draw you whatever you want, kind of thing, right? $50. It turns out it's $50 one character,
right?
Essentially. So I said, I want these two characters. How much is that going to be? He literally sits back in his chair, mulls it over for a while, and I'm working on 30 minutes sleep at this point, so my mind's not exactly fresh. And he mulls it over for a while. He goes, let's call it $125. And later on, I start thinking about it. I'm like, so you're telling me I could have gotten these two individually, separately done for $100, $50 a piece, but now that I'm having you do them together, it somehow adds an extra quarter onto the price, 25% more onto the price. I don't know what's going on there. But then I go back to the booth later because I forgot to tell him the key detail I wanted, which was I want these guys holding hands. And he looks at me, he's like, you're really trying to make this difficult on me. I'm like, am I? Because it would seem that would be pretty easy just to have them.
I just realized something. Why he might have reacted that way to you.
Because, why?
He's religious.
Because he's religious. It may have very well been. It may have very well been that
then he definitely wouldn't have liked my suggestion. What you should have him draw.
Yeah, Doug said, Alan, you should have him draw Tila bent over with man in arms behind her. Yeah, he wouldn't have gone for that at all. You're right, though. That could absolutely have something to do with it.
Yeah.
However, regardless, he took my money.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, totally.
And I haven't heard from him.
Totally. Yeah.
So, Tom Cook, if you're listening out there,
yeah, sure he is.
I would appreciate just some communication back to me. Anyhow.
Because he mentioned because I went to his panel and he told his whole history in cartooning and all that kind of stuff and he said he plays drums in his church band or something like that.
Yeah, that was definitely then why he was squeamish about that whole thing. But let's face it, Beastman and Trapjaw, they were probably getting it on. I mean, nothing else. They're best friends. I mean, these guys are best.
Well, there was only Evil Lynn, and she was Skeletor's girlfriend.
I guess that was Skeletor's bitch. Come on. You had the Falcon thing. The purple. I can't remember what that. The
purple Falcon.
Evil Lynn's. The sorcerers had.
Oh, isn't it didn't Jason say what that was? A score or something like that, or Scar or something like that?
Probably.
We'll have to go back and listen to
I'm sure he knows.
We'll have to go back and listen to our own episode.
Anyway, waiting on that. But if you have a chance to check out one of these cons, it was a fun packed weekend.
Yeah,
I mean, you will have something to do whenever you want to do it at any time during the weekend.
Yeah, I went to a panel and went to the table of this self-published comic book writer, and he was with a buddy, and who was a local buddy, and his name's Victor Dandridge. I'll give him a shout out. He was the main guy, and he writes comic books and self-publishes them, and so I was kind of encouraged by his panel and stuff like that. And I think that when the Durham Comic Con comes around in November, I'm actually going to get a table and set up my my novels there.
No, you're going to get a table.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
it's still a possibility in the future. The other guy who was with him was Jacques, if I'm saying his last name right, Nayem, and he's also a comic book writer. And I bought some of their books. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
So, so check them out if you're at Wizard World. I don't know if Jacques will be at other ones because he's local to the area, but check out Victor Dandridge and his stuff. But yeah, it was a good time. I'm actually I wouldn't mind going to HeroCon in Charlotte, but that's a whole trip that we have to plan. So anyway,
so we had a good time that weekend. That was
it was a good time. Weekend. And let's
get down to business.
It's business time. It's business time. So the first movie we're going to discuss is one that Dirty A already mentioned on the podcast when we did our best of 2014.
Yeah, this was one of my top 10 of last year because it actually was released internationally, I guess you'd say, last year. It's just hit the States over the past couple weeks. Yeah. And just one of my funniest movies of last year. Of last year, I say, but this is actually one of my funniest movies probably of all time. Like
I'm actually surprised it wasn't higher in your list, honestly.
Yeah, it's because if I really thought about it, it would have jumped up there. I was just basically at that point, I had a list without it, and I just rubbed out the bottom two.
Okay.
It probably would have easily jumped up there. This is definitely one of my favorite movies ever, just for quotability and enjoyability of watching it.
Right.
But it's called What We Do in the Shadows, and it is a collaboration from Flight of the Conchords' Jermaine Clement, and then also I'm going to butcher this name, Taika Waititi. Taika Waititi, who are both from New Zealand. They kind of collaborate on writing things. They've done Eagle vs. Shark. He's done a movie called Boy, which is on Netflix. You can find it. It's pretty funny. But this is a collaboration of theirs. The story is a mockumentary focusing on some vampires that are living together in New Zealand as flatmates. So that's your general premise.
And it's leading up to, like, it's almost like the Playa Haters Ball from Chappelle's Show, but it's leading up to the vampire ball, basically.
Right.
So the monster ball, basically.
So there's, if you want to call it a main plot point, because this is really just a bunch of rampant scenes. Because
it doesn't really come up until the end of the movie.
But the plot point is this documentary crew is filming these guys like the week leading up to this monsters ball kind of thing, if you will. And it's hard to talk about it without just giving away a lot of the jokes. We're going to try not to do that. Just really encourage you to see it because it is fucking fantastic.
It is really, really funny. It's hilarious. And in fact, if you go to if you look the poster up, it's constantly just like hilarious from all these different critics. It's so funny, and the best part about it is that they really capture how you would think that vampires would act in this situation, being like roommates in this house that they live in. They've got Jermaine Clement plays he's almost like a Dracula type guy. He's
Vladislav the Poker.
Yeah, Vladislav the Poker. And then Waititi, he plays
Deacon.
No, he's not.
I'm sorry. He's
Viago.
Yeah, Viago.
And he's like a dandy from like the
Viago
18th century.
He's quite the dandy.
And he's like and the whole time you're thinking that guy's gay, but he's not. He's not. He has pined after this lost love of his.
He's effeminate as one would have been back in
Then you have Deacon, who is the youngest of the vampires, and he's the, quote, bad boy of the group.
bad boy.
And he kind of reminded me of Craig Ferguson a little bit.
It's actually hard to do a lot of these jokes, even if we wanted to, because
Yeah.
you have to see his visual.
Yeah.
He's like, he's sitting there during the interview, and he's like, when you become a vampire, you become sexy.
Yeah.
And then he just like points at
himself, and he's like
and
this doughy pasty guy. He's played by Jonathan Brew, and then they've got a Nosferatu type vampire who lives in the basement named Peter, and they meet this guy Nick because they lure him to the house. Him and this other girl, they lure them to the house so they can feed on them, and they turn. One of them turns Nick into a vampire.
Ends up turning Nick.
And then Nick turns into like the most obnoxious vampire you could ever meet. He's like a millennial vampire.
Yeah, he's as he describes himself. You see Twilight? I'm Twilight. I'm Twilight.
He tells everybody that he meets he's a fucking vampire.
Are you a vampire? I'm a vampire hunter. That's bullshit, man.
and
fuck y'all, scapulated.
And they are also introduced to Nick's friend Stu.
And everyone loves Stu.
Everyone loves Stu, who's human.
Yeah.
And he basically brings the vampires into the modern world by showing them the internet and all that kind of stuff. All the new technology and stuff like that. It's so funny. Like
but it's so what we really want to get across here is it's smart. It's
yeah.
This isn't like one of those it seems like, because when we talk about this, it seems like it's been done before, and it has, but this is done in such a smart and funny way. It's not just like lazily thrown together like Scream 6 or Dracula Dead and Loving It or something like that. Right? This is super smart and funny, and I mean this runs just about an hour and a half. And there's hardly a minute where you're not laughing. There's
a real heart at the core. Like, you really come to care about these characters, and the fact that they make fun of like the vampire lore is hilarious. Like, they can't go into a club unless someone invites them into the club. So they're like, they show them just like walking around the city trying to get into clubs.
They never get into the cool clubs because they're like, just invite us in. And everyone's like, no, we're not inviting you in.
The bouncers like $5. No, that's fine, but you have to invite us in. They're like, no, what?
It's hilarious.
It's so funny.
Yeah, so it's really funny, and Reese Darby has a great cameo in this. We won't give it away.
Right, yeah.
But it's a great role. Not really a cameo. He's supporting character in this, but he's got a great role in this.
And he was their
everybody up.
He was their manager on Flight of the Conchords.
Right. If you don't know
who Reese Davis is,
just please check this movie out. You will laugh. It is not a horror movie.
Yeah.
It is.
There's some comical gore in it, but it's not horror movie. It's not
overdone.
Right.
But there is a little bit. But it by no means is this a horror movie, even though it's mocking it.
No, it's a straight up comedy.
And you don't have to know every horror trope out there, every vampire trope out there, to understand and fall in love with this movie.
Yeah.
This is a movie that I've constantly suggested to all my friends since I saw it. I've probably seen it 20 times now at least.
Jesus.
And not a one of them has not enjoyed it since I've shown it to them or I recommended that they see it. And we went with a
pretty sizable
group when we went and saw it in the theater, and just awesome.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I chipped in a little bit for the Kickstarter to fund this, getting a little bit more hitting some more cinemas in the U.S. They had a Kickstarter, so I'm looking forward to getting a signed poster from these guys that sometime this summer. But yeah, just check this out. I think we probably need to cut it out, or I'm going to start quoting the whole movie.
Yeah. Well, it's okay, because the last two movies we're going to discuss, we did not love nearly as much. In fact, one would say we hated them.
Yeah.
The first one we'll talk about, we went to go see the sequel to Divergent, Insurgent. And this is, of course, based on the Veronica Roth young adult novels.
Starring Shailene Woodley.
Starring Shailene Woodley and Theo James as Four. And it's a good cast. It's a great cast. It's just that with the Divergent movies, my biggest complaint about the first one, and it continues into this one. All my if you go read my reviews, stuff like that, you can go to Doug Reviews at blogspot.com and read my review about Divergent, and it's just I didn't buy into the world at all. Oh, and spoilers for Insurgent, because we're gonna spoil. You kind of have to, because fuck that movie. Spoilers for Insurgent. I didn't buy into the world at all. If you don't know, they break the world. They live in Chicago. There's been some calamity that has occurred, a war. Or
again,
something.
We really don't. There's no details really given at this point.
It's like a dystopia.
Yeah.
And they live in Chicago, and the city is broken up into 5 factions.
Chicago, but it's walled off. Like, this is it.
Right. This is it. Right. They wall off Chicago with like this electric fence, basically. And what does the fence protect us from? Whatever's out there. And that's literally the answer. So they break up the society into 5 factions. There's Amity. They're the nice people. There's Abnegation. They're the selfless people. Candor. They're truthful, so they're the lawyers.
Right.
There's Erudite. They're the intelligent people, the scientists, stuff like that.
Yep.
And then there's Dauntless. They're the
peacekeepers, if you will. I mean,
right, but they literally say there are soldiers and our police, which are 2 completely divergent things.
Right, but they've melded them together into one group. And
Dauntless is actually really just a frat. It's really just a fraternity.
It really is. Really odd.
And then there's also the factionless, and these are people who don't belong to any group at all, and they're homeless. Okay,
so
basically they flunk out of these societies.
Flunk out or decide they don't want to be a part of it, whatever.
But as I said in my review of Divergent, I was like, well, I can understand how you flunk out of Erudite and Dauntless, but how do you flunk out of Amity? You're not nice all the time, or Abnegation. You look in the mirror too long. So it's like.
Well, I think a lot of it's a point of they just had to walk out on their group, but they can't be picked up by another group at that point.
Right.
Once you decide.
But the thing is, but some of them also fail the test.
Of course.
And stuff like that.
Well, I got to that point. I believe that Dauntless was the only one that had a test. Because they just implemented it. Remember when we saw it? They said it was a new thing.
Yeah.
So I think Dauntless is the only one that had a test.
See, my theory was when I saw it the first time is I must have missed that part from the the charismatic Jai Courtney, who was, I can't. He's not as bad as Sam Worthington, but he's close.
He's up there.
And
who did I say he reminded me of?
Probably Sam Worthington. But anyway, so what I said is I'm like
Biff from
Biff
Back
Tannen.
to the Future 2. He's Back to the Future 2 Biff.
So I was like, well, then I guess the factionless are just maybe not quite super brilliant, or they're just subpar soldiers. But you could probably form that into an army. Well, guess what they do in this movie? They form them into an army. And they are led by Evelyn, who is apparently Ford's deadbeat mother.
Played by Naomi Watts.
Played by Naomi Watts, who is hot as hell as a brunette. Great. I mean, because I like her as a blonde, but I've never seen her as a brunette before. Really she is gorgeous as a brunette. She does it,
yeah.
But anyway.
My biggest problem with the overall story is this whole idea of being divergent. Because they're not manipulating the DNA of these people that are born or anything like that. It's just they're making a choice. They take a test. They can either choose to follow what the test tells them they do, or they don't.
Right.
And it's not like there aren't people that choose something different.
Right.
People, they do. Apparently, it happens.
Right.
So my point to that is that if they're not like say in The Giver,
right,
where they suppress everyone,
right, they suppress their emotions,
or something like that. So it makes sense that they've kind of got everyone kind of locked into these,
right,
doing these different things. Here they don't do that. They just say you're in this. You choose what you want to be in.
Yeah.
But guess what? Everyone still has free range of their minds.
Yeah.
Like, so what does it mean to be divergent? Because the whole idea of being divergent is just that you think differently.
Right.
Well, guess what? Everyone thinks differently. So it makes no sense whatsoever.
The other thing is that the main plot is that there's this group that wants to overthrow the government. Kate Winslet's character has basically taken over the government, and everyone's happy about it. It's kind of like kind of ripping off the Star Wars prequels.
Right. So the people that do the was it the erudites that do the judging? No,
it's Candor.
However you want to think about it, this is another part where the story breaks down because according to what's her name? Kate Winslet's character,
Janine.
According to Janine, they have this utopian society set up, right? And this is how it's supposed to operate. Yet she's leading the charge to try to overthrow the other group in what she deems as a perfect society already. Exactly. It makes no sense.
Exactly.
She tells us that.
Yeah, she just wants power. She just wants power. And so what happens is they find this box, which is, of course, hidden in Shailene Woodley's old house. Of course it is. Now, and then basically what they need is a divergent to open the box, and they claim it's a message from the founders.
And not just any divergent.
No. Wait. They need a divergent to open the box. So basically she says, instead of killing the divergents now, like we did in the first movie, we want to capture them so we can make them try and open this box. Now, I really question why Janine is the leader of Erudite, because she obviously can't put two and two together that Triss is the one that she's looking for.
She knows where the box was hidden. So why would you not?
She knows the girl. Oh. She knows the girl who gave her such a problem in the last movie. Just 5 days ago. Who, by
the way, we saw these movies back to back. We went to a double feature because I just didn't remember anything about the first one. To be honest with you folks. Okay.
I think you owe me money.
The end of the first one, the end of Divergent, ends with Shailene Woodley's character Triss sparing the life of Janine.
Right.
Thinking about killing her and then being like, no, I'm different. I'm Divergent. I'm not going to kill you.
Right.
Cut to, within the first 5 minutes of this movie, Insurgent, the actual words coming out of Triss's mouth, we've got to go kill Janine. What?
Every character that causes the hero's problems in this movie, they had the opportunity to kill them at some point in the first movie. Now, you can argue, well, heroes don't kill. And in some cases, that's true. Like Batman he's taken a vow that he will not kill. Here's the problem. The people that you're saying won't kill, and they're heroes, they were trained to be soldiers who are trained killers.
These people chose to be in a faction where part of their duty is to kill without question.
Right. So they're soldiers. Now, this is where you come into the problem with police versus soldiers. Police are trained to protect. Soldiers are trained to kill and win wars. So they're two mutually exclusive things.
By the way, again, we're in a utopia. There's no war.
Yeah, they're like, I'm like, well, who do the soldiers protect?
Now, our friend Trey pointed out it's to protect the wall, from the outer wall, but which we really don't know much about yet.
Right.
Even in the second one, we just at the end catch a glimpse of what it's all about.
Right.
Spoiler alert, by the way, about halfway through this, when I looked at Doug and I said, they're pulling a village on us, aren't they? They're totally pulling the village on us, aren't they? Yep, I'm pretty sure I'm right on that one. Yeah. So, but my take on this whole second movie, the first movie I liked better than you did. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it was a good movie, but I enjoyed watching it. I guess I downplayed a lot of the faults, which really take center stage in this one.
Yeah,
like they shine in this one.
Yeah,
and the way I describe this movie is all these characters are running around doing things simply to move this plot along, but the characters themselves, they don't create an actual motivation for them to want to do what they're doing.
Right.
They just do shit.
Right.
And they contradict what they're doing constantly throughout this movie simply to push the plot along a little further.
Right.
When you know there's no way the character would act this way if it were a true-to-life character.
Right. And that's the problem. I mean, there are moments about this film that I like. The problem is that it's so derivative of other movies like Hunger Games, The Matrix. The Matrix is big
heavy
one.
In this one, yeah.
They rip off so many other movies that it's like it almost was like Oblivion. When we saw Oblivion, and we're like,
taking all the different sci-fi,
jamming everything together,
just throwing it out.
They do that a lot here. And I know this is based on the book, so I'm guessing that I wouldn't like reading the book either.
Right.
But it's just not.
Maybe it's explained better in the book.
Maybe I don't know,
because they just seem to constantly break their own rules.
But see, here's the problem. So Triss ends up giving herself up to spare people's lives because they start killing people.
Right. Which, by the way, that falls apart to me because what they do is they implant these chips in people's heads that kind of allow Janine and her faction to control them. And so what they do is they start having them commit suicide until she gives herself up. Instead of saying, capture Triss.
Yeah, exactly, right.
That's all they have to do.
Exactly. But the biggest issue with this movie and story in general is that in the first movie, Triss would go into those Matrix type sins, and then she would be in it for a second, and then she would say, "This isn't real," and so she would basically think outside the box, which shows that she's divergent. Because she's divergent. Right. Well, when they capture her and she's got to open this box, apparently she forgot how to do that. Because she doesn't just go, this isn't real.
Running around like it's a big video game and this adventure. When in the first one she would have just been like, oh, wait, I can just do this.
Yeah, she actually had to work in the first one to fake not knowing what to do. Right. And then in this one she... And
the only reason she did that was so that people wouldn't know she was divergent.
Right.
Well, guess what? They all know she's divergent now.
Right. So it's just a case of a very shoddy world. They don't follow their own rules, and just looking at the world for a minute doesn't make any sense. Of course, when you get to the end of the movie, they reveal, it wasn't supposed to make. And literally, at one point, Triss says to Four, "I know this doesn't make any sense." Yeah, no shit, sister. Okay,
that truer words have never been spoken in a movie. So that's pretty much the tagline for this movie.
Yeah, I know none of this makes sense.
Insurgent. I know none of this makes any sense.
But basically, and major spoilers, Dirty A already alluded to it, that basically they reveal that the whole thing was an experiment by the people outside the wall. Right. But even that didn't make any sense, really, because they're like, there was a war outside the wall, and we made this experiment to show us how to live.
The experiment itself makes no sense as to why they would have done it. Again, they did it to prove that they could survive, that they could thrive, but why an experiment at all? I don't know. Maybe that will be answered in a movie I really don't want to see.
But now we kind of have to.
Called Allegiance, I believe you said it will be called.
Yes, it's called Allegiance, and of course, in true Harry Potter / Hunger Games / Twilight fashion,
they pottered us.
They broke it in two parts.
God, fuckers.
There is a fourth book out there that I think might be a prequel, and it's about Four, and I guess it talks about his life and stuff like that. But he's like, but none of these characters are really any interesting.
No, and it's not the actor's fault.
It's not. No,
this is the way this is written.
Yeah,
whether it be based because it's based on the book or whether it be the screenplay, whatever it is, this is all shitty writing.
Because the two of them actually have pretty good chemistry together, but it's just they're just not interesting characters.
They've proven they have chemistry together. Well, the brother and the sister at least.
No, I'm talking about her.
You're talking about her.
Oh yeah, and that's what's really creepy about this movie. Yeah. And this is just because I guess they have such a small well of young adult actors to pull from, but. Shailene Woodley now, there's a character who is her nemesis, there's a character who is her boyfriend, and there's a character who is her brother. And in other movies, she's fucked all of them. So
it's awkward. It's an awkward bit of casting here. But that is the smallest problem with this.
This it's really Insurgent is not that good.
Everything like we mentioned, everything that's in Divergent. That you may be able to overlook is completely highlighted in this movie as huge problems in the plot and in the story. Skip it. Yeah, just skip it. Wait for it to come out when you can see it for $1 or even for free when it's on. Yeah. if you have premium cable and Netflix or something like that.
Another movie. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. And it was also based on a novel.
But still more enjoyable than Insurgent, in my book.
I guess. I mean, at least Insurgent made me laugh a lot. I mean, Gunman made me laugh. I
laughed.
Gunman made me laugh.
I laughed lots in Gunman.
This is a Gunman. It's Sean Penn trying to get that sweet, sweet Liam Neeson money. He teams up with the director of Taken, Pierre Morel. Yep. And basically, Sean Penn plays a mercenary who, assassinates.
He likes to take off his shirt a lot.
He likes to take off. Yeah, he's cut.
He is.
Sean Penn's in great shape,
which is pretty much why.
Yeah, pretty much why
made sure he took his shirt off a lot in this movie.
So he plays a merc who was working for this company, almost I guess kind of like a Blackwater type thing.
Like a Black Ops type of thing. That they were undercover as humanitarians.
Right. They were working in the Congo, and he is tasked with assassinating this minister of the mining in the Congo. And he does it, and the stipulation is that he has to leave the country.
And by the way, the reason he does it, plot-wise, very murky.
Yeah.
Very muddled plot from the beginning.
Well, I thought it was pretty obvious why they chose him to do it.
Oh, no. I'm talking about just the reason for the job in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
The reason he was chosen, completely obvious. But I'm talking about the reason the job needed to be performed in the first place. It's very iffy.
So he's working with some people. He works with two other shooters. They're minor characters. You never see them again. And he works with the guy who was running the op, a guy named Cox. And he's and he's played by Mark Rylance.
Yeah.
And then they also work with a civilian guy who's, I guess, on the company side. He's Felix, played by Javier Bardem. Friendo, who seems to have stumbled in from a completely different movie. But we'll get to that in a minute. So basically, when they go to kill this guy, the assassin, Felix makes the call, and he says, "Oh, Sean Penn, you're going to kill this guy." And so he does. He kills him, and then he leaves the country. He has a girlfriend who
Sean Penn's character
Sean Penn has a girlfriend. Her name is Annie. She's played by Jasmine Trinka. I think it's right. Trinka, something like that.
Sure. Yes.
And she's like a doctor. She's like a Doctor Without Borders type character. And he's in love with her and all this yada yada. And it's clear from the get-go that Javier Bardem wants to really stick it in
and
her.
here's one of the first problems that's just glaring in this movie, because it's within the first 3 minutes of the movie. I mean, it's completely telegraphed. Like, the movements, his eye.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no subtlety.
Be somewhat subtle about it. The audience isn't stupid. You know? I mean, they're literally like shoving it down our throats.
Yeah.
That, Javier Bardem has a thing for the... if you didn't catch that, let me show you another reason.
Yeah. And the way they really should have played it is he should have just been like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then
it should have... You should have actually found out that later.
Exactly.
That should have been like a quote-unquote twist.
Right, exactly. And it's not.
No.
So Sean Penn has to leave this woman. He doesn't get to say goodbye or anything like that. He has to leave. And cut to 8 years later, he's back in the Congo doing humanitarian work, actual humanitarian work, digging wells.
Right. He's got a little bit of a conscience that's growing on.
Right.
So he's trying to feed his conscience.
We'll get to that in a minute, too, because that didn't really
make sense. It falls apart. Sure.
It doesn't really make
sense.
Sure it does.
But that is what you're led to believe.
He Hit Squad basically shows up to try and kill him. And now he's trying to piece together what is going on, who's trying to kill him, and why.
And as we all chime in at the exact same time, led by our friend Trey, why is he thinking about this one event 8 years ago that would be the sole only reason this could have been the reason why he's being possibly hunted down now? The best part is that Javier Bardem. He meets up with him later, and then Javier Bardem proceeds to get constantly drunk. And spoilers for this shitty movie, by the way. Spoilers. Javier Bardem gets constantly drunk, and shocker, Javier Bardem, who promised to watch out for Annie, has married her. What?
And so now he immediately, Sean Penn comes to him and goes, "I'm trying to figure out who's trying to kill me." And he immediately is like, "You're just trying to take Annie away from me." It's like, wait, what? So for like the first half of the movie, you're like, what the fuck is this movie about? And why is this happening? Because you don't know what Sean Penn's real motivation is. And nothing makes any sense. But one thing that Javier Bardem says that I wish they had explored further he starts talking about more atrocities that they committed when they were in the Congo.
When he goes back to meet him in his office.
Right. He's like, oh, the people we killed and the babies we killed. I'm like, you should have shown that instead of a merc who's a paid assassin killing a guy. I'm like, why are you so broken up about that guy?
But even that questions even further why that would be the one event that he calls into question.
Right, exactly.
8 years later, if they've done all these atrocities. But
he goes to see Cox, and that guy's a little shady too.
Best line in the movie, by the way, is Sean Penn talking to Annie, and he's like, "I've done some really bad things." Cox. Like, I've done some... he essentially says, I've done some really bad things with Cox. It's the funniest line in the whole movie.
And of
course, the whole movie, all we're doing is going, Annie, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay, Annie?
And of course, the first thing when, this guy's name is COX, obviously, and the first thing I think of is Dewey Cox.
Dewey Cox. If it doesn't say...
It doesn't say Cox, unless I say it tastes like Cox. Dewey Cox sausage.
Dewey Cox sausage. So good. I will say this, and this is just my preference because I really like him. Ray Winston, I liked him in this. He was good.
Yeah, Ray Winston. Yeah, he shows up. He's a friend of Sean Penn's.
Yeah.
Who's like, I guess he's like a former in the company or whatever.
Yeah.
And he helps him out along the way.
But he's like the shining light in this movie for me because I like him. He's a British actor, if you don't know.
And spoiler alert, he doesn't betray him like he does 57 times in Indiana Jones and Crystal Skull.
Imagine that.
Idris Elba is completely wasted in this movie. He's in it for literally 10 minutes, maybe.
He's headlined as like he's
like the second billed actor.
He's the second billed actor in the movie.
He's in it for 10 minutes.
He's in it
maybe
10 minutes. Like 3/4 of this movie goes by, and I'm like, I was wondering when he was going to show up.
He plays an Interpol agent who is investigating the murder of that guy, and he gives a card to Sean Penn, and his character's initials are JB. I turned to Dirty A. I'm like, are they trying to lobby for him to be the next James Bond?
Yep.
Skip this movie. It's not any good.
No.
There's some decent action in it. I will say the action is a lot grittier than in Taken.
Oh, yeah.
A lot more believable. Yeah. They also have Sean Penn has like this concussion syndrome or whatever. So take that, NFL. But apparently he has this concussion syndrome that's gonna kill him or something like that. So he's like a ticking time bomb.
So they use that as a way to explain why he documents everything and why he has this documentation. Right. But they could have just easily explained it by saying he's a meticulous guy. Right.
Yeah.
So that really doesn't work out that well.
But other than the action, there's really nothing.
Yeah, and you're right. It is decent action. I'm getting a little tired of this kind of action though, because it is a lot like Taken.
It's because Liam Neeson's beaten it to death with all his other movies that are exactly the same as Taken.
Because what they do is they have these guys like slapping each other around, and then they just shake the camera a lot, so that what you think you're seeing is not really what you're seeing. You're not actually seeing a lot of fighting. You're just seeing a lot of shaking around a lot, and then they cut to like one stab, and you're like, oh, okay, all right.
The Bourne movies started that.
But the Bourne movies actually, they don't shake like at least in a good number of the scenes, like with the when he's using the magazine, which is a great scene. They don't shake the camera around. I mean, they're actually you get to see that play out, and that you're right. That did start that, but it's one of those things that that did it right, and now they're just chasing it ever since. But no, you're right. This does have decent action in it. Not enough to warrant going to see this movie.
No. Mm-hmm. I did kind of enjoy the second half when they finally got rid of the Javier Bardem character and then just focused on...
And replaced him with a bull? Yeah.
Yes, and focused on the plot, Well,
it's like you mentioned, he was like he was in a different movie.
I know. These movies don't do subplots very well. So, the woman just ends up being a damsel in distress anyway, constantly in this movie.
It honestly felt like with Felix's character, Javier Bardem's character, that they didn't... the writer didn't realize... couldn't figure out how to end that.
I guess.
So he's just like, oh, this is what we're doing. Yeah. This is what we'll do.
I will also say that you guys were very hard on Annie and her teeth.
Oh, we didn't mention that. I wasn't going to bring it up. Oh my God, this woman, the poor... See, look, I'm sorry. Her teeth were crunked out. I mean, oh, yes.
Look, yes. She had some problems there, but I'm a fan of Depeche Mode, and I know what Martin Gore looked like before he got his teeth capped. Those are jacked up teeth.
Okay, fine, but did she interview from a telephone? Could they not have capped her teeth before? I mean, these are some crunked up teeth.
But still,
she's not an ugly woman.
She's not. She's gorgeous.
No, but once she opens her mouth, man. And even before she opens her mouth, you can see like the teeth protruding from her lip.
You can't.
Oh, yes, you can, man. Yes, you can. It's crazy.
She's terrible. You're so mean to her.
Oh, yeah.
She's very pretty.
Yeah, man. She was pretty, but man, yeah, me and my friend, we were just sitting there the whole time just cracking on the teeth. Yeah.
Yeah.
We couldn't help it. Could not help it.
She needs to learn how to use her inside voice.
Could not help
Anyway. We're at a movie.
Because we're so good at using our inside voices.
We are.
Please.
Not in the first screening of Divergent, where we were like 2 of like 5 people in that theater.
Me and Doug are just looking at each other and talking like normal and just joking at the whole.
Because there was nobody there.
Ridiculous.
There were at least some people in Gunman.
Yeah.
That lady was having a good time over in the other.
True.
She was like, oh my god.
Oh yeah. So anyway, Gunman.
Skip it.
Insurgent. Absolutely skip it. What We Do in the Shadows.
Definitely see it.
Must see.
Definitely see it.
Yeah.
And if Wizard World is in your area, go check it out. Because I think it's pretty much the same people going to all of them for the most part.
Oh.
I know Tennant's going to some of them.
He's going to actually, I saw that he and Billy Piper will be in Philly.
Oh, okay.
That would be pretty cool. But there's a lot of different people. Chicago's actually is actually.
That's the big one.
Yeah, and they're actually coinciding that with Bruce Campbell Fest. It's kind of like their double.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And Alan Tudyk will be there, and a whole bunch of other people. That one will be cool. I know in Sacramento, Robert Englund was going to be there.
Oh, really?
I'd love to go and see him.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
There you go.
It's been an eventful week.
Yeah, it has. Next episode, we will probably be discussing Will Ferrell's new movie with Kevin Hart, Get Hard, which looks hilarious, but
getting some pretty hard reviews.
Yeah, it's not going well. When is that screening for Trash? Trainwreck. I'm like Trash Can. Trash Can. When's that screening for Trash Can?
It's Oscars by Oscars Grout.
When's that screening for
Trainwreck?
Is it the first week in April? I think maybe.
It's the first week in April 4th, maybe.
Maybe that sounds about right.
Anyway,
Trash Can.
Hopefully, it's better than that.
Oh no, it's not April 4th.
No,
it can't be April 4th.
I don't think.
We'll have to look it up. Basically, they're doing a free screening in Chapel Hill, and they're like, "Yeah, you don't have to have a ticket or anything." We're like, "So what do we have to do? Get there like 11 a.m. for this 8 p.m. screener?" God, that's nice. Thanks.
Yep.
But yeah, so we'll probably be talking about Get Hard on the next episode. Hopefully, it's gonna be good.
God, it looks really funny. I really want it to be good.
We'll see. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Later.